Welcome to Democracy-ish. I'm Danielle Moody.
And I'm Wajahat Lee, and pardon us for a delay, folks. It's vacation time. I promise I'm not trapped in some dungeon or cell anywhere. I'm blinking twice to make sure I'm happy. And thankfully, neither Danielle and I are in Washington D.C., the nation's capital. Which, despite having a record low in crime, Danielle, today, did you know, is Liberation Day, but Donald
Yeah.
Trump is so old he forgot that he already declared Liberation Day for his failed trade war. So today's Liberation Day 2 Electric Boogaloo. Do you feel safe?
No. And, I'll say this. I did a Substack over the weekend where I wrote about the fact that I'm away. Waj is away as well. And I said, you really get a different perspective of America when you are away. And I will say that it's one thing to live constantly in this barrage of fuckery every single day. It is another thing to then look at it through a lens and you're just like, "Oh, wow. This shit is crazy."
Yep.
Like, we've been talking about it and living in it day in and day out for years because we have to understand that Trumpism is something that has been going on for a decade at this point. But this acceleration and the capitulation of universities, of
Yep.
media, just this collective bending of the knee, people outside of the US are like, "Yo, you guys are cooked." And I
Yeah, we're
think that
cooked.
it's really important because we need to get to a place where collectively people get it. Like, the America that you knew is gone. Like, you should have spent the last 6 months or so kind of mourning that and then actualizing what your plan is for yourself and then what and your family and what your community plan is. Not everybody is going to be able to exit, not everybody is going to be able to leave, but the fact is that how we've been operating needs to change, and it needs to change quickly. Because here's where we are, folks. Like, here's where we are. Donald Trump, right? He started out the year with declaring, putting the National Guard in California, testing out LA as a test ground where he sent our national troops, where he sent the army. And guess what? They got there. They had no barracks. They had no place to sleep. They had no place to eat. They didn't know what the fuck they were supposed to be doing there. But Donald Trump sent them there as an intimidation tactic. So here's where we are, and this is what Reuters is saying. The U.S. military is preparing for the activization of hundreds of National Guard troops to Washington, D.C., two U.S. officials told Reuters on Sunday. The officials who were speaking on the condition of anonymity said a final decision was still to be made, but we know that it was made. One of the officials said it was, get this, folks, just pay attention to this. One of the officials said it was unclear what exactly the troops would do, but could take part in efforts to protect federal agents or even carry out administration tasks to free up local law enforcement. Now, Waj, you are living outside of Washington, D.C. You live in the suburbs, right? In Virginia. Just alert us. Are you under siege?
I mean, every day is a hellscape. There are families that go to work, and we take our kids to the school, and then we also have a pool across the street with chlorine in it. It's really hot due to climate change, so we'd hope that we'd have an administration that would, combat it, because every single day we're seeing like more power outages than I've ever seen before in my life living here in 13 years. But other than that, there's no, violent insurrectionists with white supremacist flags or Christian nationalist flags or Hitler shirts, beating up cops, smearing shit in, federal buildings. That happened on January 6th. And there's no one, just openly, just like, I don't know, engaged in like big crypto grifts. And there's, no real dark web like the Silk Road, which is a hub for, I don't know, sex trafficking and drug trafficking. Oh, the head of the head of the Silk Road who got pardoned by Donald Trump. Yeah, none of that's happening. But I'm sure if that happened and we were doing it in service of Donald Trump, we too would be elevated. But other than that, it's actually like a normal, safe city. And in fact, Danielle, DC during Biden's final year posted its lowest crime rates, the lowest homicide rates. In fact, right now, Washington D.C. Remember that in the 90s, DC drugs, crack. Right now, folks, DC. Yes, there's crime everywhere, but crime is down across the board in America. Violent crime is down, but violent crime, or rather, I should say, crime, is up in the Oval Office. And there's another big crime, the Epstein crime. Oh, of pedophilia, Jeffrey Epstein, who said he was Donald Trump's closest friend. And what we found out, Danielle, in the just the last couple of weeks, actually, it seems like forever, is that Donald Trump was all up in the files. And his attorney general, Pam Bondi, told him that, which means for the last 2.5 months, this administration has lied to the American public and engaged in a cover-up. And one of the people who were part and parcel of Jeffrey Epstein, decades worth of abuse of young girls, was Ghislaine Maxwell, who not only recruited the girls, groomed the girls, but also, according to the Farmer sisters, and according to Virginia Giuffre, the property that Donald Trump said that Epstein stole from him, they alleged that Ghislaine Maxwell abused them along with Jeffrey Epstein. So as Donald Trump is cracking down on crime that doesn't exist, you know what he did to Ghislaine Maxwell? He moved her to a cushy, minimum security club fed type of camp in Texas, where she was denied dog training services because people with her background of abusing minors cannot get those services. And we still don't know who approved the transfer of this sex offender. But as that is happening, folks, and I always want to bring the receipts, we always like to connect the dots, Donald Trump, who's so obsessed with violent crime, has unleashed the National Guard and the FBI to literally walk around like idiots in the nation capital and terrorize fellow citizens. Did I get that right? What did I miss?
Yeah, I mean, here's the orange dum-dum in his own writing. Wash, please do the honors because you do it so well.
We're having, excuse me, we're having a news conference tomorrow in the White House. I'm going to make our capital safer and more beautiful than it was ever before. The homeless have to move out immediately. We will give you places to stay, but far away from the capital. The criminals,
for some reason, in caps, why, I don't know.
You don't have to move out. The criminals, you don't have to move out. We're going to put you in jail where you belong. It's all going to happen very fast, just like the border. We went from millions pouring into zero in the last few months. This will be easier. Be prepared. There'll be no Mr. Nice Guy quoting himself yet again. Why? Don't know. We want our capital back. Yes, we do. From pedophiles and friends of pedophiles. Thank you for your attention to this matter. That is actually...
I swear to God, my favorite is him ending with, thank you for your attention to this matter. Like, it's so fucking comical. It's just amazing. So folks, here's the thing, right? As Wash said, just to repeat again, Washington, D.C. is one of the most beautiful and safest cities in the United States. I think it's the best place to live in the entire country. Trump is fabricating lies to consolidate his power. I will echo this because let's see, I lived in Washington, D.C. for 15 years. And I lived there from the time of the end of the 90s into the first quarter of the millennia. And guess what? Totally safe. Pristine, actually one of the cleanest cities in these United States. Very low homelessness. And all is well. What Donald Trump has done is fire hundreds of thousands of federal workers and turn that entire city into like foreclosure central. The Uber drivers, restaurateurs, they will all tell you that this city is undergoing an economic shift and a downward economic shift because everyone is leaving, because those that had jobs, quality jobs, are gone. And so when Donald Trump, again, here we go. DC crime is at a 30-year historic low.
Yep.
It was down 35% in 2024 and more than 20% again so far this year. But somehow, because teenage cyber criminal Big Balls allegedly got beaten up by two black kids, because of course, Trump has to
Allegedly.
send the military and DHS. Stop pretending this is democracy. And let us just remind you, when thousands upon thousands of insurrectionists
Yep.
invaded the city,
Yep.
defecated in our capital, beat our police officers, caused absolute wreckage and mayhem that we never saw during the Civil War, because guess what? The Confederates never reached the Capitol. Donald Trump said, they're not coming to harm me. Remove the magnetrons.
Yep.
They're not here to harm me. When the police, DC police, were calling in and asking for backup, Donald Trump was too busy sitting in the Oval Office throwing ketchup at the walls. When actual help and aid was needed because of his followers with their waved flags and their rabid mentality that he told them to go take your country back, those people were allowed to go home. Those people were not met with the kind of force that is necessary. So what are these National Guardsmen going to do who are not trained to do anything inside of the country? Well, they're going to patrol the streets with artillery and big guns, right? They're going to walk up and down. They won't have a place to sleep. They probably won't have a place to eat, because Donald Trump doesn't care actually about our servicemen and women. He just cares about the perception of force. So maybe they'll be sleeping, they'll take up the spaces that the homeless, that he says, oh, don't worry, we'll take care of you. So maybe they'll be, I don't know, curled up around the Lincoln Memorial, right? Because again, there's no forethought there. But this is so important here. FBI agents are not trained to patrol streets.
Yep.
And every agent that is assigned to do that is not investigating. Guess what they're not investigating? Foreign spies stealing government and trade secrets, foreign and domestic terrorist threats, crimes like fraud, corruption, trafficking, and violent crimes, among others. Waj, do you feel safer?
I feel so safe. I mean, folks, listen, we joke about it. We laugh so we don't cry. But clearly, from the evidence that we've brought, and clearly from how we're talking about this, I hope you all realize this is deep doo-doo. And it is the world's worst. I told you so. And I was just talking to Danielle about this right before we pressed live. On this show in particular, and independently, Danielle and I have tried our best to be as honest as possible. And we try to bring the receipts because people, especially when you're a person of color, warning, they think you're crazy. You're hysterical. You're reactionary. You're too woke, right? What are the other words they use, Danielle? Uppity, emotional, too critical,
Snowflake.
right? Yeah. What the analogy that we've been given for a while now is the following. If we were Paul Revere, just suppose it was me and Danielle instead of Paul Revere, and we were like, the British are coming, the British are coming. You know what this country would have done? They would have shot us, and then we'd be lying dead. And they'd be like, oh, what are the, it's a slave. Oh, what does that slave say? We're like, just wanted to help you and warn you that British are and then we die. What we've been saying for a while, we're not the only ones. Who are we? Nobody. But, experts in authoritarianism, people who've spent their entire careers, decades, reading and writing and researching about, Mussolini and strongmen and authoritarians and Hitler. People like Timothy Snyder, Ruth Ben-Ghiat, Jason Stanley, right? People who've talked about how democracies fall. They've written books in the last 10 years warning America. We saw it with our own eyes with the insurrection. Danielle and I said he will not leave peacefully during his first administration. They laughed at us. Then we said if he's elected again, he's going to pardon everyone. They laughed at us. On this show, we have brought up the receipt again and again and again from October. I did not let this one die. I said, this man just quoted Hitler yet again and said that he would unleash the National Guard and the military against the enemy from within. He said it openly. He said it publicly. This is the world's most helpful supervillain. It's like James Bond wanted a supervillain like this because in the first 10 minutes of the movie, he taps James Bond on the shoulder and says, here's Project 2025. They're talking about the purge, right? This man now is setting up what Danielle and I have said, and I'll say it again. He's setting up the seeds for martial law. This is what happens in authoritarian regimes. He's old, He's Cankle McTaco Tits. He is desperate. His brain is leaking through his ears. The Epstein file, Epstein scandal is not going away. The war in Israel, the genocide in Israel that he's complicit with is radicalizing people against fascism. The economy is about to go to shit. I'm sorry to say it is, folks. Just save up your money. If you have some assets, save up to it. All the signs point towards recession. There's more and more discontent. The Latino vote, Danielle, I don't know if you've seen, has gone back to the 2016 numbers because even the Latino voters, the Latino men were like, oh, we didn't vote for this shit, right?
Right, because their families are all being detained. And
young
even,
people are radicalized.
Wasn't there was a guy on the who they were just showing. He had some type of Trump diner that he made a destination point. And guess what? He's been detained.
Whoopsie.
Right? Like, because they thought that, oh, we came here the right way. We've been doing the right things. But guess what ICE doesn't care about? Any of your paperwork. Any of the legalities.
You brown like me and Danielle.
You're gone. What did they say in South Park? Christy Noem's character, if you're brown, you're going down. Doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter whatsoever. And we laugh so that we don't cry. But I want to take a minute, right? Because these are things that are important. We know, how much did ABC pay out? How much did ABC pay out to Donald
for
Trump's
George Stephanopoulos,
library?
I think, was more than $10 million. CNN was more than $10 million. No. Excuse me. CNN was more than 10. ABC was more than 10. CBS was $16 million as a bribe. And then they canceled Stephen Colbert, citing what? Oh, yeah, lack of money. But today, Danielle, we couldn't put it in, but this happened an hour ago. That same Paramount, that same CBS that gut Stephen Colbert citing, budget. They just gave $7 billion to UFC for a 7-year contract.
Let us breathe. So here is ABC News this week. And they're actually having a real conversation, right? One that is not placating to the Trump administration, but very much offering, I don't know, the truth about what is happening. FBI agents are facing consequences for executing court-ordered searches on Trump at Mar-a-Lago as loyalty to Trump takes priority over rule of law. This is authoritarianism. There is no other fitting description. Take a listen.
I'm told on Brian Driscoll that he was fired. No, he wasn't given a reason, apparently, but he was fired because he was asked to fire another FBI agent who had been involved, they found out, in the classified documents, the search of Mar-a-Lago. The other agent, by the way, was the pilot who flies the FBI director on his plane. That he was asked to fire that person. He refused, saying he didn't do anything wrong, and was told, okay, then you're fired.
Look, John, this is all about Donald Trump. What a shock. There's a headline for today. It's all about Donald Trump. So if you're an FBI agent who was assigned by your superiors to participate in a court-ordered search, that means you're not loyal. You're not loyal, that means you're fired. And that's it. And it's taking them some time. We're now almost 8 months into the administration. It's taking them some time to find all of these disloyal people who followed the orders they were given, lawful orders. In the case of the Mar-a-Lago raid, a court-ordered search warrant.
And Chris, what does it say to those agents when people like Driscoll are fired, and Jared Wise, the guy who called police officers Nazis and yelled out, kill them, is a senior advisor over at DOJ?
It means comply with the political agenda and personal agenda of Donald Trump or be gone. And let's face it, Sarah's absolutely right. I served for 7 years in the Justice Department. I served for 7 years. Okay, go ahead, Sarah.
Oh, I was just going to say, don't forget, it also means that when you're given orders by this administration, that it may mean you're going to get fired by the next administration. It destroys any ability for the Department of Justice to do its work, because everyone's going to have to now look out for themselves, worry about if they execute that search warrant, are they going to lose their job because of it in a year?
All right, Sarah Isgur.
But let's be really clear here, because I want to be really clear about what she just articulated. We have never seen the kind of mass firings ever before. If people understand that there is little that changes from administration to administration when we look at our agencies. You get a new attorney general, so you get a new head, right? You get new cabinet members to run said agency. But what we have never experienced before is from administration to administration, a purging of career employees. There's a reason why they're called career employees, because they're not political appointees. They don't leave every 2, 4, 6 years as our congressional and political cycles move. And so what Donald Trump is doing, for her to say, oh, well, this means that in a next administration, first of all, we'll get to a next administration in a bit, because there isn't going to be one. Donald Trump is absolutely right now in the midst of rigging the midterm elections, because he is wholly unpopular. His poll numbers are in the fucking sewer. He is down now. Oh, I don't know, Waj. Are we somewhere at 30, 40 points, like underwater?
38.
38.
He's at the lowest approval rating of any president since Donald Trump #1, and he's underwater on every single issue, even his signature issue of immigration. He's negative double digits on the economy. He's negative double digits on inflation. He's negative double digits on tariffs. He's negative double digits on the Epstein files. He's negative double digits on the illegal kidnapping of El Salvadoran immigrants. He's negative. The job numbers came back. Remember that recently, where he fired the commissioner of BLS because he didn't like the numbers. It was fraud. The job numbers then led to the job numbers, which, by the way, folks, were terrible because they had to revise the numbers, downgraded it by 250,000. Extremely slow growth in the private sector. It spooked the stock market. Stock market has finished at the lowest numbers that we haven't seen since 2020, when this mother effer was president. And also we had, the pandemic. Everything is pointing towards recession. Trade wars are a disaster because of his stupid tariffs and the new tariffs that just went into effect finally last week, which I wish they wouldn't, but they did. Prices of everything are going to go up. No trade deals. Allies, as a result of these stupid tariffs, are openly moving away from the United States of America, doing business with each other. Japan is now, for the first time in history, openly talking to Brazil about trading beef. Tourism has gone down. You don't want to make it a bellwether, but if you want to use Las Vegas as a bellwether, folks, 11% tourism is down. We've lost at least $12 billion in lost tourism money. They're saying, and this was a projection, that if this keeps up, we're going to lose $50 billion because people aren't coming to this country, folks. And as this is happening, the Epstein files, he's like negative 30 in the Epstein files, folks. The only thing that's bipartisan in America for the past 10 years is the following. Majority, 80+% of independents, 80+% of Democrats, 80+% of Republicans all want to know more about what is in the Epstein files. 80+% of Americans are following this. For those people who are young, when Danielle and I were growing up, there was something called the water cooler conversation. Because, there used to be water coolers, and you go to the office and you go to the water cooler. You're like, hey, do you see the news yesterday? I did. What did you think about that? We don't have that anymore because, number one, we don't have water coolers. And number two, everyone lives their own reality, right? So you go to someone and say, hey, did you see that Donald Trump is going full dictator? Like, what are you talking about? He's the king and daddy. You're like, okay, anyway, take care. Please don't talk to me again. And you go to your cubicle. The only water cooler conversation that probably exists in the past 10 years is the fact that a majority of Americans, Danielle, are following the Epstein scandal. He knows it. He can't get away from it. So he is now putting Project 2025 on friggin' Mach 5 steroids. And he's doing all the stuff that they were probably supposed to do in 2 years because he wants to distract, and also because he realizes, oh shit, we might lose the midterms and I might lose in 2028. And by the way, I can't stay in power anymore, but he's going to stay in power until he dies. Sorry for my rant.
I mean, it's not a rant, it's the reality. And the fact is that you're seeing this happen because if the news is following the fact that National Guard is going to be deployed in Washington, D.C., and you're seeing these images of our military in full regalia, right? Walking around the monuments, walking down the streets, then that's what the headline is going to be. The headline is not going to be about Trump and Epstein. It's going to be about what is happening in Washington, D.C. It's the same reason why he was doing in L.A. These are all test cases. He is the, what is it? What is that? What was the big dinosaur in Jurassic Park? Testing the fences, testing the fences, testing the fences.
T-Rex?
T-Rex. First it was LA. Then it was, oh, I'm going to go into New York City. Then it was, I was going to go into Chicago. Now he's in Washington, D.C., and he's using Washington, D.C.
Yes.
particularly because he does not like Muriel Bowser, who is the mayor there, a Black woman, right? So let's be clear about that. And the fact is the symbolism of it all. Donald Trump loves the imagery of our National Guard marching past the Washington Monument, on Capitol Hill, around in the streets, right? Because that is what the media will be taking hold of. And they won't be talking about the fact that, oh, here are other things that are going on. So we have this.
Wait, can I say one thing real quick?
Please.
Just because, can we go back real quick? Just look at this, just for a second. I'm not going to play the whole video.
Go.
Thank you both for being here. We will serve.
All right. These two pieces of crap. Chris Christie was complicit in helping Donald Trump. In the first administration, there was that photo of him. Remember that standing behind Donald Trump, looking like Where's Waldo? Because he thought that he would be elevated. This guy was behind him while everyone else left. When Ted Cruz and Lindsey Graham were trying to like save the Republican Party from Donald Trump, Chris Christie was all up in his anus. And then Donald Trump, once he got into power, ditched Chris Christie. Sarah Isgur to his left, very smart, federalist, right-wing conservative, right? It's kind of his quasi never Trumper, but not really. In the first administration, Zucker, when he was running CNN, tried to bring her in without any experience, right? To overrun, if you will, be the ombudsman for CNN News. Remember that, Danielle Moody? She was like Barry Weiss before Barry Weiss. And then internally in CNN, people are like, this woman has no experience. Why the F is she going to be our advisor / boss? Oh, yeah, because they wanted to get in good with the Trump administration. ABC News paid $15 million to Donald Trump for no reason. CNN paid, I think, I'm forgetting, $10 million. Jonathan Karl is your moderate centrist right winger who now, finally, after 10 years, after it's all said and done, is showing this indignation and being like, how could this happen? Sorry, I just had to keep the receipts because all these three in front of us are all complicit. Continue, Daniel.
But I mean, that's the thing, is that there is no, this is what it looks like to live inside of authoritarianism, to live inside as you're watching the walls close in on America. Because what was the media? The media is our fourth estate. The media is supposed to hold power accountable. And what have we seen over the last 6 months? We have watched them bend the knee, bend the knee, bend the knee. And we've watched these people like Chris Christie and others. From the first Trump term, we saw a revolving door. We saw Sean Spicer get to go on Dancing with the Stars. We saw, remember, the only reason why Smokey Eyes is not on, and I'm talking about Huckabee Sanders, the only reason why she decided to run for governor and not, because there was an uproar when she was supposed to get a cable news contract. These people have been able to go into the Trump administration the first time, come out and get whitewashed for mainstream media. And they've gotten plum jobs to get to sit there and lie to the American public. And so we've seen this happen time and time again, except this time, they're not saying anything that is negative. They're not going to, let us tell you a little bit about the news, a little bit about what is going on, but it's going to be placated in a way that makes you feel like this is the norm. This is what presidents do. But I say again, we have never, and for better or for worse, there has never been a large jump from administration to administration unless you're looking at some policies. So Reagan ushers in Reaganomics. George W. Bush, not GW, flies over Katrina, right? You see little iterations, but there has always been this maintaining of the status quo, this handshake deal that both sides did over their cocktails, where they looked like they were putting up a fight on the floor for the American people, but they were really on the same side. But now you are seeing this massive sea change, this massive rewriting of America, this new story that is being told, and it is happening so quickly.
Yep.
Because that's it. We said it took Hitler 53 days to take over Germany, right? It has taken Donald Trump now 6.5 months. We are 6.5 months in. And we have institution from Brown University to Penn State to Harvard to Yale to Columbia, to all of these major legacy institutions have now paid out hundreds of millions of dollars into Donald Trump's pocket, because we're not seeing that money.
Nope.
We've seen trade partners collapse and our prices rise. Groceries, that lovely traditional word that Donald Trump likes to use, are now through the roof, and they're getting worse. Right? And all of this is happening. And the way that the media is spinning it is if like, oh, this is what happens during new administrations.
Nope.
When in life have you been on this kind of edge? When in life did Obama bring in the National Guard?
Nope.
Did you see that? Oh, the Tea Party is saying that he's not from the United States. Did Barack Obama unleash the National Guard? Did he redo the White House, right, in order to face it, to be in his image? No, he did not. So again, this is why independent media is so incredibly important, because all I have to say is that the sane washing is going to continue, and it's going to feel like a fire hose where you start to feel crazy because what you're seeing and what you're hearing is not aligning with what they're telling you is okay, and that you should just be stomaching. And those are the things that we need to remain alert about.
And also the open purging of all our institutions, like they said they would do in Project 2025, what we and so many others tried to warn Americans about. But I heard from so many Americans, because we suffer from a failure of imagination in this country, it won't happen here. It can't happen here. We have guardrails. What happens, Danielle, when those guardrails are deliberately and intentionally removed? You have this. Scott McFarlane, a group of national security and FBI officials issue warning about ongoing purge inside the FBI. The aim, it seems, is to transform the FBI from a respected, constitutionally grounded investigative service into a personal enforcement arm of a political figure. Oh, you know, the Gestapo, Savak, brown shirts, the same terminology that Danielle and I have been using for months. We have seen these dynamics abroad. Leaders who demand loyalty from security services, not to the laws, but to themselves. These regimes do not end well. Those regimes are called dictatorships. Yes, they end terribly, but before they end terribly, they usually kill, oppress, harass, and terrorize millions of people, and they disappear people as well. This all could have been avoided, but this effing country is so committed to white supremacy and greed. It is so committed to racism and capitalism that is willing to burn itself down to the ground. It is willing to commit a civil war. It is willing to segregate. It is willing to drain pools instead of having black and brown kids swim in the pools with white kids. This is America. It has always been this way, folks. Danielle and I we've always tried to bring the receipts, and people always think we're crazy. The country would rather destroy itself than actually have equality. Literally, if you double down on multiculturalism, it's good for the economy.
Everyone.
All the data shows. DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, has shown it helps revenue. It helps corporations recruit and retain the best talent, which also reduces costs, right? Because you don't have to go through it again and again and again. It also, what does it do? Expands markets, helps you. Oh, Latinos now know our product. We know them. More money. Black folks, international. It's a win. Except for insecure, terrified, white supremacists. Fragile. People who want to live in their little ecosystems. All of this could have been avoided. This is a purge. And if you thought you were safe for being a Trumper or a conservative, well, Danielle, that there you go. Tell them about this, because this was a
So,
person appointed by Donald Trump.
White House fired IRS chief after he resisted sharing sensitive tax data with the Department of Homeland Security to what? Hunt immigrants. Trump is weaponizing the IRS. Mark my words, soon they'll be doing this to his political enemies. Well, for the last several weeks, he's been talking about and sharing AI generated videos of him arresting Barack Obama and Barack Obama being taken out in shackles. And the same thing with Hillary Clinton, Kamala Harris, and all of them. From the beginning, Doge was going in to get what? Our Social Security information going into the IRS. And I've been saying to myself, all it takes, right, are these little coders, these little incel babies to reroute our tax dollars to where? Not our agencies, but into their own pockets. And who is going to be checking them? Because Donald Trump has fired what? All of the special investigators, right? All of the independent inspectors that are supposed to be overseeing fraud and waste and the things that Doge said that it was going to be doing. All of those people are gone. And so the IRS chief that Donald Trump hired, right, is gone because again, I just want to remind you of the absolute bullshit that comes out of this administration. What did they say, Waj? Immigrants, undocumented people are a stain on our country, right? They are vermin. They don't pay taxes. They just suck on the tit. So let me ask you something. If they don't pay taxes, if they're not actually feeding into the system, why would I be getting their data from the IRS? Anyone?
Bueller.
Bueller? Anyone? Why would I be, if these people are coming into this country and all they're doing is criminal activity and they're not investing into this country, why would I be arresting them at the immigration courthouses after they are being seen before a judge? Why would I be arresting them at their place of work if all that they do is come here to get welfare from the state? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up. But they say these things, they flood the zone, as Steve Bannon told them to do, with absolute bullshit and contradiction upon contradiction. Oh, they suck on the tit of America, but yet I'm getting their information from the IRS. Oh, they're lazy and don't do their jobs, but yet I'm arresting them in their place of work. Oh, they don't follow the law and they're criminals, but I'm arresting them at courthouses. It doesn't make sense.
White supremacy never made sense. It never made sense. It's just an ideology of supremacy that is based upon this romantic delusion of a past that never existed, and they need fake science and eugenics to prove to themselves and others that they're the ubermensches, and they have to completely rewrite history and facts to, if you will, nurture their perpetual grievances and their rage and their pity party and their sense of weakness, but also which is masquerading as a sense of dominance. Right? It's all bullshit. It's all smoke and mirrors. Right? But so many people suffer and die as a result of the lost cause, of the myth, of the eugenics, right? Of the bullshit. The rest of us are just like, leave us alone, man. Just leave us alone. Come to the barbecue, enjoy the good meat, enjoy the good, tacos, enjoy the good looking women and the good music. But they're like, no, we cannot. We do like the good meat and the good tacos and the good looking women and the good music. But whiteness, right? They want it all. They want it all. But they don't want us. But then they really do want us, but they want to be in control. What they don't want is equality, folks. And speaking about not wanting equality, speaking about the friggin', just the beautiful microcosm, Pete Hegseth, the world's most mediocre white man who keeps failing up despite being allegedly an alcoholic, despite allegedly having, financial impropriety, despite, signing an NDA with a woman that he allegedly abused. Oh, despite going to Princeton and writing when he was in Princeton, if you have sex with a woman who's drunk, it doesn't count as rape. Despite, having no experience in this position, the fact that it was filled by a black man, General Austin, who was a 4-star general. And now, speaking about white supremacy, here comes a guy whose only experience, essentially, is being for the past 10 years on Fox. He's an 04 rank. Lloyd Austin was 010 rank. Mattis was 010 rank. This guy has come on. He's such a disaster in the first 7 months, folks, that things are leaking left and right. Leak. Nobody wants to work for him. Morale is low. People mock him and make fun of him, right? But the reason why he's there is because he's a loyal yes man. He's good on camera, and he is an open white Christian nationalist. He wrote a book called American Crusade. He has the tattoos on his body that even his fellow soldiers, in addition to his content and his tattoos, reported him to their supervisor as a potential insider threat. And then the Secretary of Defense, he's this guy, white supremacy, folks. In what universe will this man be the Secretary of Defense, one of the most important jobs that overlooks a budget of $1 billion, advises the president to campaign strategy, military strategy, overlooks armed forces, about 2 million of them in this country, right? This is the man that they chose as Secretary of Defense. And can you tell him over the weekend, there should be bigger news, what Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, a man who traffics with white Christian nationalists, what he retweeted and has not apologized for?
This. So there's a full CNN segment on Doug Wilson's crusade for Christian domination in the age of Trump. There's this group of pastors, white evangelical Christians, who believe that there needs to be, right, a Bibled order of America where men are the heads of household, and that women, we need to rescind the 19th Amendment so that women do not have the vote, that they vote in terms of household. Who runs that household? Men. But then they say that will be a discussion, but ultimately the decision will be by men. There won't be individuals voting. Pete Hegseth, if you see right here, all of Christ for all of life, retweeted this segment. And I want you to listen, take a listen to this man, Doug Wilson, in his own voice. And if this is not, again, Handmaid's Tale, not fiction, pretty much a documentary, this is what these men want. Take a listen to him in his own words. Our Secretary of Defense retweeted this.
Kind of people that people come out of.
So you just think they're meant to have babies? That's it. They're just a vessel.
No, it doesn't take any talent to simply reproduce biologically. The wife and mother, who is the chief executive of the home, is entrusted with 3 or 4 or 5 eternal souls.
I'm here as a working journalist, and I'm a mom of 3.
Good for you.
Is that an issue for you?
No, it's not automatically an issue.
Josh and Amy Prince, along with their 4 kids, moved here from Washington State.
Do you see Amy as your equal?
Yes and no, in the sense that we're both saved by grace. We're absolutely on equal footing, but we have very different purposes, God-given.
But do you see yourself as the head of the household, as the man?
He is the head of our household.
Yes.
Yes, and I do submit to him.
So like moving here
was
ultimately your decision.
Yes.
That's a great
example.
Wilson says in his vision of a Christian society, women as individuals shouldn't be able to vote. His fellow pastors, Jared Longshore and Toby Sumter, agree.
In my ideal society, we would vote as households. And I would ordinarily be the one that would cast the vote, but I would cast the vote having discussed it with my household.
But what if there's your wife doesn't want to vote for the same
Right.
person as you?
Right. Well, then that's a great opportunity for a good discussion.
There are some who have gone so far as to say that they want the 19th Amendment repealed.
I would support that. And I'd support it on the basis that the atomization that comes with our current system is not good for humans.
And Wilson, a veteran himself, is unapologetic about his view that women shouldn't be in certain leadership or combat roles.
Looking at the leadership page for Christ Church,
Right.
It's all men. Do you accept women in leadership roles in the church and in government?
In the church, no.
Why?
Because the Bible says not to.
Wilson is part of a broader Christian nationalist movement making inroads with the Trump administration, with a newly created faith office led by evangelical pastor Paula White Cain, and people seen right outside the White House entrance praying and speaking in tongues.
We are standing on the soil of the White House, and we are declaring your word.
How precious.
And now there's a monthly prayer service at the Pentagon, initiated by Hegseth, Wilson's highest level connection to the administration.
It's not organizationally tied to us, but it's the kind of thing we love to see.
For his part, Hegseth has publicly praised Wilson.
Now we're standing on the shoulders of a generation later, the Doug Wilsons and the others.
I'm sorry, Waj. Remind me what number wife Hegseth is on?
I forget. I don't give a shit. All I know is this is a man who has signed an NDA with a woman that he credibly has accused him of sexually assaulting her. A man who bragged about, like I said in Princeton, about having sex. When you have sex with a drunk woman, it's not rape. A man who has problems with alcohol. A man who has had problems with violent outbursts against Muslims. Kill all Muslims. A man who has been kicked out of nonprofits for financial impropriety. A man whose own colleagues at Fox were worried about his alcoholism. A man who's completely underqualified. A man who's apparently surveilling his own team in the Pentagon. A man who is so terrible at his job, copy pasted confidential information that threatened our own troops and put it in a Signal app that was read by the editor of The Atlantic, Jeffrey Goldberg, and then he lied about it. Oh, this is just the top of my head. And oh, by the way, who has all these tattoos that are now appropriated by white Christian nationalists? That's Pete Hegseth. Sorry, you were saying something, Danielle, about how many women?
It's just like, here's the thing, because everybody is rightly reacting in the live chat right now, and I'm certain that people after this is posted will react to this segment. The reason why this is so important is because these are now the people that have the ear of the president of the United States. These are the people who are circulating inside of the White House. There are now prayer sessions that are happening inside of the Pentagon. And can you just think about what happens if you decide not to attend one of these prayer sessions? Because I'm pretty sure they're going to be keeping attendance. The mindset of these people is to subjugate women, to marginalize Black and brown people, and to criminalize everyone else. This is the plan. This is not a what if. This is what is happening. When you look at Donald Trump's cabinet, there are like 2 women that are inside of there, and they're really there for window dressing. They're really there just so that it seems like Donald Trump is right, exactly, prey, Prey. So Donald Trump seems like women have a place other than, to be subjugated, right? Or to be used. Like this is their idea. What do all of these men have in common? Oh, I don't know. Sexual harassment or sexual assault records, right? What do all of these men have in common? Multiple divorces and multiple pregnancies outside of marriage. What do these men have in common? Abuse of women. What was the first thing that Donald Trump did in his first term? Roll back Roe v. Wade. Why? Because they need more white babies, right? But I want folks to understand, why wasn't Hillary Clinton elected? Because white women in America voted alongside their white husbands. And what I was flabbergasted by was that they did not see themselves in Hillary Clinton. Instead, they saw her as a problem to be sidelined, as they've always seen.
Can I say this? Can I always remind people? We like to bring the receipts, and white women used to get really upset at me. And now I think there's been a little shift. When I wrote that article for the Daily Beast talking about how a majority, not all, but a majority of white women have been the handmaidens of white male supremacy in this country. In every single election in the last 10 years with Donald Trump, a majority of white women, can you please tell them, Danielle, a majority of white female voters, who did they vote for in 2016, 2020, and 2024?
Donald Trump.
Donald Trump.
Donald Trump, hands down. And so when you see that white woman sitting alongside her husband that is a pastor and saying that, well, he's the head of the household and I submit, she is being absolutely honest. But what a large percentage of white women who maybe don't subscribe to the trad wife mentality, but they all went to the same kind of schooling to get your MRS to submit to your husbands, because your power, right, is given to you by your proximity to maleness and whiteness. That is it. And so here we are at a place where now these people are in absolute power of this country. And if you think that this is not coming, it's already here. It is already here. And all they're waiting to do, just to bring it back to the beginning and then we can close out, institute martial law by saying that there is an invasion, by saying that the crime is out of control. Who cares about the data? The data is lying. Donald Trump will fire the statisticians and all of those people so long as they tell the truth. Invade these places, take over by military force, and then undo the Constitution of the United States, beginning with the rollback and the subjugation of women, people of color, and disappearing queer people, trans people, and everyone else from American life. That is the goal. Watch. I leave it to you to wrap us up.
And you know what? We need more white folks and white women to speak out. There's only so much Danielle and I can say, but you all need to gather your own tribe in your community. And finally, I know it's not all, I know it's not most, for the 45 to 47% of white women who voted against Donald Trump. Respect. We see you. We know it's close, but you all need to work whatever magic you have. Because we know this country values white voices and white faces and white lives more than the rest of us. Just how it goes, folks. I'm just keeping it real. It'll take like 30 me and Danielle's to have the power and the equivalence of and the influence of like 2 white women. Okay, and so I want to give a shout out to the white woman who actually just was our spirit animal, Jennifer Welch. As we have celebrities like Dean Cain joining ICE, we have celebrities like Jennifer Welch, who is a co-host of a podcast, also was a reality TV star, also is an interior designer, who channeled just exquisite, just beautiful rage. And let's, before we close out, let's just listen to what she has to say.
With white people that triple trumped. Yeah. That have the nerve and the audacity to walk into a Mexican restaurant, a Chinese restaurant, an Indian restaurant, go to perhaps their gay hairdresser. I don't think you should be able to enjoy anything but Cracker Barrel. And if you want to triple Trump and you want to browbeat DEI and you want to browbeat gay people and you want to browbeat black people as you've been doing for 400 years. And you want to browbeat this generation of immigrants that come over here and open up businesses earnestly, pay their taxes. You want to demonize them and call them rapists and felons and all this shit when the felon is the teeny weeny mushroom cock piece of shit, Kankles McTaco tits at the top of the ticket. I have fucking had it from top to bottom. White people that triple Trump should be banned, boycotted from enjoying the best thing that America has to offer, which is multiculturalism. Get your fat asses out of the Mexican restaurant. Get your fat asses over to Cracker Barrel, because nobody wants to see your fucking smug ass, teeny weeny, pink arm, big gut around. Nobody wants to see that shit. No one.
I know that's right. I know that is right. That is a white woman that I can get behind. Holla at you, girl. That was fantastic. Bravo.
Exquisite.
We need more of that collective rage, more of that awareness and that consciousness and that fire. Because as Waj says, we can speak into the ether as much as we want, which we do on a regular basis. This is our job. But what we know to be true is that our voices are not valued as much as her voice, and as much as some of you that are watching this who are awakened, who are sharing our content, who are pushing this out, who are donating, who are doing these things. You are doing the work. Bravo. Because we need more people, more white women and white men to get angry, to get furious, and to do the work.
Folks, we really appreciate you tuning in, especially as we're on vacation. We're trying our best. Look at me. Look where I am. It looks like I'm in a hostage video. And look at Danielle. Like she's having the time of her life. Beautiful skin, looking like 10 years younger, enjoying herself. Look at me. I look just defeated and destroyed, but we're still here. And this is Democracy-ish. We're going to try to be back Wednesday. I'm going to come back Friday night. So we might not be able to do this Friday, but maybe we'll try to do our Wednesday check-in. Folks, Democracy-ish is totally free. The content is free. We don't bend the knee to anybody. As you can clearly see, we try to keep it honest. We try to bring all the receipts along with our commentary. We've been calling it. We've been right. I wish I was wrong. I want to be wrong. oh, I want to be wrong. We depend on the kindness of strangers and the kindness of our audience and viewers. So all the people who gave us those super stickers, those $5 tips on YouTube, thank you so much. It goes such a long way. Danielle has 30,000 subscribers, Danielle?
28.4.
So we're trying to get Danielle to 30,000. If you're watching on YouTube, please just click the bell. It's free. If you're watching on Twitter or my Substack, please become a subscriber to the Left Hook Substack or a subscriber to Damn Digest. It's free. Danielle and I do not have any paywalls. If you have a few bucks, please send it our way. We keep all the content free on purpose. And folks, we try to keep it real, and we've kept it real. We're building out this community. We thank you all for watching. Thank you. Spread the word. Share this. It'll be up in a minute. I have to run for a Substack Live. We wanted to talk about Israel and Palestine today, but we ran out of time because, Donald Trump is distracting from Epstein by unleashing the federal guard, friggin' Liberation Day 2 electric boogaloo. But right now I'm going to jump on Substack, and I have a really good conversation, Danielle, with Deborah Shushan and Haris Tareen about the danger of ADL and legacy institutions weaponizing anti-Semitism to crack down against our free speech and pro-Palestinian activists, and also how Israel is going full genocidal with the plan announced on Friday to occupy Gaza. It already occupies Gaza, but to literally take it over and move Palestinians to the south. That's ethnic cleansing. And openly, without any shame, they literally just killed journalists yesterday and admitted it, folks. So fascism here, fascism abroad. And folks, Israel cannot do this without United States support. If Donald Trump picked up the phone right now and said, we're done funding you, it's over. So it is our taxpayer dollars that are going to fund this real life genocide we're seeing in real time. I'm about to hop over right now. Danielle, final word to you. Shamelessly promote yourself.
I'm just saying, echoing, please subscribe. Every bit of content that I produce is free. I thank you so much for all the super stickers and super thanks. If you are watching on Waj's Substack, do consider becoming a subscriber to both of our Substacks. The Damn Digest is me. The Left Hook is Waj. And if you have a few bucks and can become a paid subscriber on both of those channels, do consider doing so. We appreciate you all. Thank you so very much. We will be back on Wednesday on Substack at our normal time, but we will be sure to promote. And again, please do make sure to share and like when this goes up. See you later, my friends. Stay safe. And as Waj says, don't be a fascist.